Hey guys, it's Becky with Design Bundles, and I am here today to tell you all about the ins and outs of doing glass etching, okay, with awesome designs from Design Bundles, of course, but with Father's Day right around the corner, you do not want to miss this project. Alrighty, so here we are. We are on designbundles.net, and I'm ready to search for the design I want to use. Now, it would be easy for me to search for Father's Day or Dad, anything along those lines, or because I already have an idea, this is something that my husband and I debate regularly, so I want to make him a funny mug that talks about his new beard, okay? So I had come across Respect the Beard. You know, it's just nice and comical. And I mean, let's face it, a lot of men do take their beard seriously. So, you know, no judgment out there, guys. This is the one that I'm going to use. I really like the boldness of the font and that I can see the full beard. And I'm just going to click Add to Cart. And then I can come to my checkout now. Now, because I have my Plus membership here, I do get a little bit of a discount. I appreciate that. Thank you, Design Bundles. I'm going to click Continue to Payment. And as you guys know, I really like to play with my store credit, so we'll leave that as it is. And I can scroll down and choose Checkout with Store Credit. Process my payment. This is my confirmation page. Thank you for your purchase. You're welcome. And I'm just going to hit Download your product. This brings me over to my products page where I can hit Download Files, and then I can click on my Respect the Beard zip file. This will automatically download it to my computer as a zipped file. So when I click on that, you'll notice these are all the file types that come along with my purchase. Now remember, when it comes on a zipped file, you cannot open into your software from this zipped folder. Okay, so I need to remember to come up here to Extract All and allow Windows to extract those files into a regular folder. So if I check back in my Downloads folder, you will see here is my Respect the Beard zipped folder, and here is my Respect the Beard not zipped folder, regular folder. And the same files are incorporated in there. So let's go ahead and jump over to our software, and we will cut out this design and proceed with the project. So here we are in Cricut Design Space. This is just our basic welcome screen. We are going to click a new project. So next, this is our canvas. It's blank. You can control your grid settings up here in the corner. I'm just going to leave mine blank for now, and I will click Upload in the left-hand side. Go to Upload Image, click Browse, and now I want to locate that awesome Respect the Beard file that I need. For Cricut Design Space, we're going to use the SVG document. And there is my preview. I'm very happy with that. I can put in tags here if I want. Beard, Dad, Father's Day, Man, Manly. Hit Save. I can just select the file that I just uploaded and hit Insert Images. And there we go. Now I have measured my beer stein, and I want to make sure that my file is no larger than 4.5 inches tall and no wider than 3 inches wide. So I'm going to start with wide. I'll come up here to my size, and I can just type in 3. Oh, wrong area. Wide. I can type in 3, and it tells me that it's 4.166 inches high, so that is perfect for what I need. Now I do want to come down here and click Attach to make sure that my design stays together. When I click over to make it, there we go. Now, I am going to move this down a little bit, and I'll tell you why. When we're using this as a stencil, I want to give myself a border around my design to be able to keep my glass etching cream from touching the outside areas of the glass. So just give yourself a little border all the way around. Click Continue. Just going to pick up my maker. I do like connecting with Bluetooth. It's a really neat feature. And I'm going to choose vinyl because I am cutting just glossy permanent adhesive vinyl. And I'm going to keep the pressure at default. So let's jump over to our Cricut and get that cut out. Now my Cricut is ready to cut. I'm going to insert. This is just my permanent adhesive vinyl. You can select any color. I like to use scraps when I can. I'm just going to load my cutting mat. And then my Cricut button should start blinking. Now that the Cricut's done, we can just hit unload and it will take our mat out. I have removed the permanent adhesive vinyl from my cutting mat and gathered up the supplies that I'm going to need. Now I'll move my transfer tape out of the way, and basically all I want to do is cut around my design with a pair of scissors, but remember we're going to give ourselves that border. So I'm going to cut a good way away. So when you're weeding a design that you're going to use as a stencil, you want to weed the vinyl from the inside of your design. So what that means is instead of removing the outside, I'm going to remove the inside letters. There we go. Now that we are finished, we are going to cut our transfer tape to fit around the design. With the transfer tape, I'm going to remove it from the backing. Now, not all transfer tape has a backing, so just keep that in mind. I'm going to apply the transfer tape right on top of my design. Now if you noticed, I started with letting it touch down in the middle and then I smoothed it out to the sides. And then all I'm going to do is squeegee my design to make sure that my transfer tape and my vinyl adhere together and make it easier for me to move around. You really want to squeegee the inside pieces of the letter well. You don't want those to be left behind. Now, when I peel my transfer tape up, there we go. So there is my stencil. Now, let's talk about our beer stein here. I'm going to tuck my roll of painter's tape underneath just to help hold it steady. Get a good view of it and try to make sure that my design is straight. Again, I let it touch down in the middle and then I'm going to smooth down each side. Now, this side does not go all the way down. That's okay. It's just because our handle is there, and that doesn't affect us for the purpose of the project. Okay, once I get it smoothed down, I can remove my transfer tape. Watch those tiny pieces. They will try to play tricks with you. If you're having problems, you can come back with your tweezers. Once you get over the smaller pieces, the rest should be a piece of cake. Don't forget, you can save that transfer tape to use later. And I want to smooth down all the edges of my vinyl and make sure that all my pieces are well adhered. I am going to use my tweezers to move these little connectors back where they belong. Okay, so I've checked my design. I want to make sure that I don't have any creases or folds or open areas along the entire border, because that's what's going to keep my glass etching cream selected to my design. So I'm going to give my glass etching cream a shake. Unscrew the top. Now, it is important when using glass etching cream that you're using it on a safe surface. You do not want to use this on a glass tabletop or anything like that that is going to be damaged by the cream. And some brands of glass etching cream, see how this one is like a dark honey? That is because this has been exposed to the heat here in Florida. It does not mean that my glass etching cream is less effective. So I'm going to start. I do not want to pour it straight in the middle of the beard. I'm going to start off to the side down here and just pour a little of my glass etching cream, and I'm going to use this squeegee. Think of it kind of like icing a cake. Now, I'm not a baker, so I hope that that's a good analogy. But I want to use my squeegee to spread out my glass etching cream, but I also don't want to drag my squeegee along the glass. I want to make sure I get a nice, even layer. And part of the reason that this works so well is this is a nice, thick cream, and I'm going to get a really good, consistent etch out of it. And this is also reusable, so I don't have to worry about using too much, because what I don't use I can scrape and put back into the bottle. Now, depending on which brand of etching cream you use, some brands are thinner than others and they will run. The one that I'm using is a thicker cream, so I don't have to worry about it. But that's what I have the painter's tape for, because if I didn't have enough border around my design, then I would tape off my glass with the painter's tape to keep it from coming into contact with the etching cream. Now, this etching cream has to sit for 15 minutes. So after I get this smoothed on, I'm going to set a timer and let it do its thing. Now, once I'm secure, I can technically walk away from my project. I usually don't, because I hate the thought of this etching cream running down and coming into contact with glass that it's not intended for. So I try to keep a close eye on it and at least check on it every few minutes. So my glass etching cream has been on there for 15 minutes, and you can see that it did try to make a run for the side of my glass. I wiped it with a paper towel, or you could easily use your squeegee to divert your cream. Okay, what I'm going to do now, remember when I said that this was reusable? So I'm going to use my squeegee. I don't want to scrape against the glass. I don't want to scrape too hard. But I'm simply going to add this back into my bottle because I'm a frugal crafter and I like it when I can reuse things. The squeegee is really helpful for this. You could also use some sort of scraper if you have anything that came with your machine or something that you've bought as part of a toolkit. Anything that you can get this cream back off and get it back into your jar. Now, you don't have to get all of it off. You know what I mean? Like, you can leave a little bit on there because we are going to go ahead and wash this off. So let's move this out of the way. Now I have some water right here, and this is a really easy process. All I'm going to do is dip my entire beer stein in the water, and I'm just going to use my hands to wash that glass etching cream away. Now, if I were at home, I could do this in my sink. You just want to make sure that you are only using rinsing off your glass etching cream in sinks that can't be damaged. From what I understand, porcelain sinks have a finish that the glass etching cream can damage sometimes. So my sink at home is stainless steel, and I do just rinse this right off in the sink. Having the hot water to rinse it off also helps because the hot water loosens the vinyl from my design. But either way, I'm just going to peel my design off. And because this is cold water, it's not as easy, but it's still not, you know, the most difficult thing I'll ever do in my life. All right, just give it some tugs. And that is the main part. You can either dump this in your water to clean up later or set it off to the side. Get off the little pieces in the middle that did not come up. If these are ultra stubborn, then you can use a weeding tool or a pen or a pair of tweezers. And that is the basis of our finished project. So what I'm going to do, glass etching when you first take it off can be underwhelming because you can't really see the glass etching when it's wet, but it definitely shows up a lot better when it's dry. So let's dry this bad boy off and see what you think. There we go. So hopefully you guys can see that. I got a really good consistent etch, and now I'll be able to give this to my husband for Father's Day, and hopefully we'll all have a good chuckle about it. Glass etching cream can be used on any type of glass surface. You can use it on mirrors, coasters, wine glasses, bakeware. That's a really fun one, especially if you are notorious for losing your bakeware to different functions where everybody's looks alike and maybe somebody ran off with yours. So definitely try to think outside the box when you're working with this glass etching cream, because the things that you can do are just almost endless. And now you know the ins and outs of glass etching. It is super easy and super rewarding and just makes a really great impression anytime you need to whip up a quick gift. As always, we thank you for joining us here at Design Bundles. I look forward to seeing your questions and comments down below, so be sure to, just say hi or let us know what you think. And hopefully we'll see you back here on the Design Bundles channel in the future. Thank you!